Hi everyone and welcome to another card tutorial. And today's card tutorial was inspired by the packaging of the pattern paper pack that I'm using for this card. As usual, I do have a focal image which is called Scruffy and is by Make It Crafty, which I have colored with my Copics. That part, the sped up version, is at the end of the video, and if you want it in real time, there will be links in the description and up in the right corner. So this is a little bit different, and if you like this, please comment in the comment section down below so that I know that I'm doing something right. So let's jump into the card. This is the part of the pattern paper pack that I actually got inspired from the belly band and the circular in on top of it. I'm going to use a A2 card base. This is Solar White Nina, and then I'm going to use 2 pattern papers. This is from the previous card I made, a little bit that I got over, and then I'm going to use this really busy tree pattern, and this sketch actually makes it possible to use a very busy pattern like that without kind of overtaking the image that is the focal image. So for the circle part, I'm going to use the stitch circles. I'm actually in the end choosing just to use the bigger one. I'm going to first cut it out in some red cardstock, and I did cut the little one out, but I find that it was too little. So I then went back in with the bigger one with some more of that Solar White Nina, and then I'm taking my fussy cut scissors and I'm carefully and very slowly cutting away that stitched border. And this is a very good way of actually getting more out of your dies. I don't have circular dies that have the 1/16 of an inch border. However, the stitched border is about 1/16 of an inch. So I'm just very slowly using my fussy cutter scissors, which is a pair of Cutter Bee scissors by EK Success, and I cut around carefully on all those little grooves to make a perfect little circle. I then just look and see if did this actually work, and I think it did, so I'm quite happy with that idea. I'm then going to do the kind of layering onto the card. I first use the bigger part of the My Favorite Things rectangular dies, and I'm using some hot red cardstock, also by My Favorite Things. And then I decided that I wanted to have that 1/16 of an inch border, and they do have a smaller set of the same dies, and I'm going to use the biggest one of that smaller set, and that gives me a 1/16 of an inch border between the pattern paper and the red cardstock. Then cut down that strip to be 1 5/8 of an inch, because I wanted to have it a little bit smaller than it was. And then I'm actually cutting the red cardstock to 1 3/4 of an inch, and that gives that 1/16 of an inch border also for that belly band. I am taping everything down with my funky tape runner by Tonic, and I really love this tape runner. Not only is it very easy to handle because it's so small, but the tape really sticks good on the pattern paper. But if you don't push it down completely, you can actually lift it up a little bit carefully, and you will see later on that I'm actually using that when I'm putting on the sentiment. Because the belly button actually is the same width of the card base, and I wanted it to be kind of a belly band, not belly button, belly band on top of the card, that can kind of, I add it after I added the base to the card. I adding that little band a little bit lower than the center, and that will kind of trick the eye to make the card a little bit more grounded and not feel like everything is floating in the air. And then I'm using the same tape to tape down the circles together and the circle down onto that belly band. I'm saying belly button all the time. I'm almost saying it all the time. And then I'm just seeing how it looks, and we're gonna start with the sentiment. So for today's sentiment, I'm first cutting out a 1/4 inch strip, a cardstock from some more Nina, so that I have Nina as the white cardstock all over. And then I'm gonna use a new Simon Says stamp set called Naughty and Nice Elves. I will be using this in a video coming forward, but right now I'm just using the You're My Favorite Elf, and I'm using the electric red hybrid ink for the ink. I didn't have the hot red ink, so I thought this would be just as good. And also it's such a small text, so you can't really see the difference between the two reds. I then cut a little red strip that is 1/8 of an inch bigger, giving that 1/16 of an inch border. I'm cutting it down so that I can just push it in underneath that circle. So I'm carefully just pulling that up and then I'm pushing that little sentiment strip in, and the card base is basically done. I'm using some 3M foam tape to add on the back side of the character, making sure that I get it on most of the things that is hanging out, so when you get it through the mail, it won't get wonky, it just will stay flat and lovely. And putting this little character on the card, it is done. I want to thank you all for watching that doesn't want to see the coloring. If you like this video, please thumbs it up. It means a lot to me. But for you, the rest of the people that actually wants to see the coloring, here comes the coloring of the little Scruffy the Elf. And remember, if you want to see this in real time with a full voiceover going into all the gritty details on how I colored him, you can find that in the description down below. Up in the right corner should be a little eye you can press and it will open up. And also at the end of the video, because I have these videos you can click on if you want to jump on and see more videos that I have done. So for little Scruffy the Elf, I'm using my kind of favorite color combination, using the E000 as the lightest because it's a little bit pinker than my usual E50. And I kind of like using that for kind of wintry image because you usually have a little bit of a pinker tone to your skin during the winter due to the cold. For my color scheme, I have gone in and chosen these from the pattern paper pack. I like to have kind of reduced color schemes on top of my characters. If you want to have more colors, you can just continue picking from the pattern paper pack. Is a big thing to say, but the pattern paper packs are usually really good resources to get color schemes because they have a combination of colors that really work together. And I'm using my absolute favorite green color combination, using the YG07 as my mid-tone and the YG05 as the highlight. And by having a tone that is a little bit lighter and a little bit more yellow than the mid-tone as your highlight, you will actually get the thing to look more like the mid-tone that you are after, because colors are will look differently between what you actually place it. I did all of the shading of the scarf with some of the grays, and then I'm just going over with the YG07 on top of some of those stripes and using that gray shadow to keep giving also those green parts some shadowing. This not only makes it that I don't have too fussy with all of those, but I will get a pretty good shading all across that little part. I usually don't do it on bigger part because the gray you can see the gray through, so it will kind of muddy up the green a little bit. But with that little part of the scarf, I could use that technique. For the rest of the character's clothing, I'm using a color combination that looks very much like a gingerbread cookie, and this is because there are pattern papers in the pattern paper pack that has that combination, and I thought it would be a nice brown to use so that it would coordinate with any brown coming up in the pattern papers that I'm using. However, I do use gray and black, and they didn't really have a gray or black in the pattern paper, so I took what I felt was a good tone. I went with the toner grays. You can also have gone with the neutral grays or whatever grays you want to, but I felt that the toner or the neutrals would work great with this pattern paper pack. However, the toner grays haven't been used lately, so I thought I kind of dip into those. And the last little tip I have for the sped up version of the coloring is how I am coloring these bells. I'm leaving a very, very, very light little spot at the bottom of the bigger bells. The smaller bells are hard to get some detail in, and I'm leaving a little bit of a bigger kind of shiny thing on the top of the bell, and this makes them actually look a little bit more metallic and a little bit more shiny. But yeah, that was the coloring and the card for today. Thank you so much for watching. Here is the link to the real-time coloring video and to a video of my choice. Thank you again for watching. I hope you liked it. If you do, please thumbs it up, and thank you again. I'll see you later. Bye!